Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here. Today we're going to talk about the collection box sets and how I think some of the 60s collection sets might stack up. A little bit of news though. Now we've talked before on the channel about how news has gotten out that they may have been doing some VAM material for the Stones of Blood, heavily pointing that we might be getting season 16 next. Well, the next Tom season might be 16. I did hear just yesterday someone on the merchandise forum posted that Fraser Hines had mentioned at a convention that he had filmed behind the sofa for the mine robber. This is excellent news. I think that practically confirms the first Troughton will be season 6. I mean, we know they banked these things, but I'm willing to bet the first Troughton will be season 6. And the guy on the forum who said it, Gordon, this is the guy that knows his stuff. Gordon is like the go-to guy. A lot of us, I know some of you guys who watch my channel also go to the merchandise forum, so y'all know who I'm talking about. He knows his stuff. If he's not sure about something, he'll specifically mention that he's not sure. But when he says something like that to where he's heard that, I believe him. So Fraser Hines is filmed behind the sofa for the mine robber. So it really looks like season 6 will be coming sooner than later and probably be the first Troughton set, which makes sense to me, especially considering I believe about 5 of the episodes from season 6, I think, are the original 35mm recordings. They're not the 16mm tele-recordings off of videotape, because there was about 10 or so 60 stories that were transmitted from 35mm film. Like, I know one episode of The Dominators, I think episode 5 of The Mine Robber, I think episode 1 of The Crotons, maybe, episode 5 of Seeds of Death, and of course the surviving episode 2 of Space Pirates are all done on 35mm film. So I'd like to think that those will look really good in HD on Blu-ray. Since it's 35mm film, those are probably going to look phenomenal. So it's another good reason to get season 6 out. I don't think too many people would be upset about Space Pirates not being animated. Would I love it to be animated? Yes. But considering Space Pirates' reputation, I don't think it would be a high priority for them. And they might have settled into that position of everything complete except one. Maybe that's how they're going to do the box sets. Just have that one story that's telesnap recons, like Crusade for season 2. Maybe Will in Space for season 5, although personally I'd love that animated as well. One of the things, though, getting into the main crux of the channel is, will seasons 3 and 4 need to be split? Now, I've heard talk that they wouldn't do that. I've heard people mention that they've officially said they wouldn't split seasons 3 or 4, but things change, and I don't know how you do season 4 without splitting it. A lot of this boils down to, I don't know how much they can get on one disc. I'm not that technical savvy, so I don't know if you could get a black and white version, a color version, and a recon version of a story on one disc. And several of the stories in season 4 are the more modern animations where there's a black and white version, a color version, and the telesnap recon. Now, there's several options you have. Let's look at season 4. We'll talk about all the seasons, but let's look at season 4. Season 4 has 9 stories, 7 Troughton, 2 Hartnells. And several of them are done, again, in the modern way, with a black and white version, a color version, and the recon. Now, if you wanted to release this in one box set, I feel like you would have to sacrifice either the black and white version or the color version, because people are going to want the telesnap recons. I mean, especially the old purists who don't really care for the animations, they want the telesnap recons. So if you're only doing the color version and the black and white version, which one do you do? Especially since the Coming Soon trailer for the Time Meddler in the season 2 box set, when it shows Coming Soon Galaxy 4, does show the color version. I've heard a lot of people say that they figure if they can only have one, they'd have the black and white version, so it fits in with the surviving footage and it's more traditional. But most of the modern animations are made with the color version being the priority. They do the color version first and then they grayscale it later for the black and white version and crop it to 4:3 on some of them. I always feel like in their minds, the color version is the priority and the black and white version is secondary. So I find it hard to believe that they would use the black and white versions. I figure if they only used one version, they'd use the color versions. However, since these sets are supposed to be the definitive versions of these seasons, I feel like they need all of them. Now, if they only do one version, like just a color version and the recons, or just a black and white version and the recons, that makes the individual releases hold their value because they have both. They'll are all three. They'd have color, black and white, and telestat recons. So these would hold their value really well, which is interesting. But I think a lot of people would want all three, considering this is supposed to be the ultimate versions of all of these stories. I think everybody would want all three, and I just don't know if you can fit, like, say, the Macroterra 4-episode stories. I don't know if you could fit a black and white, color, and a recon, 12 episodes basically, on one disc, plus still have room for all of the bonus material for that story. I feel like a lot of season 4 would have to have multiple discs. You know, Faceless Ones and Evil the Daleks would have to have extra discs. I feel like you're looking at 9 seasons in that story. I think you're looking at an 11 or 12 disc minimum, and I don't know if these box sets can handle 11 or 12 discs. I think they're too big. Even this one here, the season 2 one with 9, is a big boy. It's bulky, so you have to worry about the J card being able to support it. You have to worry about the trays not coming loose and being able to support everything. I don't know if this format or style could support 11 or 12 disc set. I think the better way, and the way I would actually prefer, would be to split season 4 into two box sets. 1, I don't mind paying the extra bit. 2, it means everything gets all the coverage it needs, and you can get 8 discs out of, 2 sets. Let's look at it. If the rumors are true about Smugglers and Underwater Menace being animated, and that's if, plus we don't know how they're going to be animated. Are they just going to animate it in color, just going to animate it in black and white? Or are they going to colorize the surviving Underwater Menace episodes 2 and 3 to match a color version? We don't know how the animations will take place, if that's even true. But let's just say that they're going to do animations similar to how they have been doing, a color version and a black and white version. Smugglers would need 2 discs, I think, because you would want a color version, a black and white version, and a recon. So you give it 2 discs. 10th Planet only needs 1 disc. Power of the Daleks, I would give at least 2 discs. And the trick with Power of the Daleks is, do you include the 2016 version as well, or just the special edition from 2020? If you include the 2016 version, do you include the black and white version and the color version, or just the black and white version? Power of the Daleks gets tricky because you really have 4 different versions of it. You have the 2016 black and white, the 2016 color, the 2020, which is only in black and white, the special edition, and you have the recon. That's 4 versions of it. You need at least 2 discs for Power of the Daleks. At least 2 discs for Power. And then you do 1 disc for Highlanders, which could just be a recon, if it doesn't end up getting animated. And if they go with that rule of, okay, we can have just 1 as a telesnap recon from the 60s. Highlanders would only need 1 disc. And then Underwater Menace, you give 2 discs. Or you give it 1 disc and have a bonus disc. You know, disc 8 could be a bonus disc. Or you could just have Underwater Menace having 2 discs. You could have a color version, a black and white version, and a recon. I mean, you'd really only need, it all comes down to whether they would colorize the surviving episodes. We know there's been talk of that. I don't really think they need to, and I'm fine with just doing Underwater Menace in black and white, but I don't know if they would do that. You could still get 8 discs out of part 1. For part 2, disc 1 would be Moonbase. It only needs 1 disc. Disc 2 and 3 would be Macroterra, because again, black and white version, color version, and recon. So you give it 2 discs. Faceless Ones, you give 2 discs, because you have black and white, color, and recon. You might have to split the recon across the 2 discs. Maybe the first 3 episodes on 1 disc, the other 3 on the other. And I know that's a bit annoying, but you could do it and fit Faceless Ones on 2 discs. And then I think you give Evil of the Daleks 3 discs, plus make disc 8 bonus, double as a bonus disc. Because being 7 episodes, I feel like it needs 3 discs. 1 episode for the, 1 disc for the black and white, 1 disc for the color, and 1 disc for the recon plus bonus material. So also an 8 disc set. So you could do a season 4 volume 1 that's 8 disc and a season 4 volume 2 that's 8 disc. Because I don't see how you could do it all in one set and still have it under like 11 or 12 discs, and I think that would be too bulky, too big. Now, season 3, I would be all right with them splitting, but only if they animate the stories like they're doing with season 4. I mean, people are already complaining about buying just one season 3 set with so much of it missing. That's a hard sell. But if you were to animate all the stories over the next few years, I could see them splitting it, because that's 10 stories. That's a 10 disc minimum. If you do one story on each disc, like with Mission of the Unknown getting its own disc, which is how they tend to like doing them. That's at least 10 discs before you get started on stuff needing multiple discs, like Dalek's Master Plan. Would it need multiple discs with 12 parts? Galaxy 4 with 4 parts color, 4 parts black and white, and a recon. Can you do that on one disc? Now, you could release season 3 by itself, but then season 4 having 2 volumes stands out. It would look weird on the shelf saying season 1, season 2, season 3, season 4A, season 4B, season 5, season 6. But if you were to split season 3, you would have season 3 and 4 split, and it would look less weird to me. But again, I'd only want season 3 split if they animated them, all of the other stories, and that would make sense for a lot of the stories to have multiple discs. So I'm in favor of season 4 being split just because I want season 4 to be done justice. I want it to get all of the material it needs. I don't want to deal with compression issues, basically. I don't want them cramming so much in that it doesn't look good on screen and it looks better on my individual release, because my individual releases look better. What's the point of buying the box set other than to have it on the shelf to look good? Which I'd probably still buy it for. I'm a Doctor Who fan. But I would like season 3 as well, if we could get it animated to be split. Because you could also get about 8 discs per volume there with 10 stories. There's so many ones that would require multiple discs in that case. Season 5, I think you could do season 5 at 8 or 9 discs. Same with season 6. Well, 9 discs. Season 5, I think, would need 9 discs, because I think Abominable and Fury would need 2 discs. Let's look at season 5 and how I would do season 5. Tomb of the Cybermen, you only need 1 disc. Even if you put the original versions of it on there, like the film version before it was vid-fired, it's still only 8 episodes. And you could get bonus material on there. Abominable Snowmen, though, does need 2 discs, since you have a 6-part black and white, a 6-part color, and a 6-part recon. Well, with the surviving episode 2, of course. And the recon could be split across 2 discs if you had to. So I'd do 2 discs for Abominable Snowmen. The Ice Warriors, 1 disc. Enemy of the World, 1 disc. Web of Fear, 1 disc, because you could fit the recon, the animated color episode 3, and the animated black and white episode 3 on 1 disc, I believe. So Web of Fear, just 1 disc. I do believe Fury from the Deep would need 2. Again, you have the black and white version, the color version, and the recon. That's a total of about 18 episodes. So I think it would need 2 discs. And then Wheel in Space, if we don't get it animated, and it does end up just being the recon with the 2 surviving episodes and 4 reconstructed episodes, would only need 1 disc. That'll give you a 9 disc set, so about the same size as season 2. You could do season 5 for that. Season 6, which again looks the most likely, first Troughton, with the news about Frasier doing some behind the sofa for season 6. I think you could do that with 8 or 9 discs. I really think you only need 8, but you could do 9 if you wanted, because I think most of the stories only need 1 disc. Because season 6 doesn't have any animation in it other than the invasion. And you could do the recon and the animated episodes for Invasion on 1 disc. That would only make 10 episodes total. So you have 1 disc for Dominators, 1 disc for Mind Robber, 1 disc for the Invasion, 1 disc for the Crotons, 1 disc for the Seeds of Death, 1 disc for Space Pirates. And you could put a lot of the bonus material on Space Pirates, I think, since it is just a recon, it is a 6-part, you get a lot of bonus material, I think, on there. And then, of course, 1 disc for War Games. And then, if you wanted, you could have a 2nd disc for something like War Games. You could label a 2nd disc for it. Or you could just have disc 8 as a bonus disc. So 8 or 9 discs for season 6. I think just 8 discs would be fine, because you have the 7 stories each get a disc, and then you get a bonus disc. I think that would work really well. Season 1, should I write season 1 down? Get through my notes here. Here's season 1. Season 1's 8 stories. I think season 1, again, 8 or 9 discs. I don't think they will animate Marco Polo. So if they don't animate Marco Polo, then each story only needs 1 disc. You have Unearthly Child, 1 disc. The Daleks, 1 disc. Edge of Destruction, of course, 1 disc. You put a lot of bonus material on that one. Marco Polo, just as a recon. I know episode 4 doesn't have telesnaps, but the guys who did Loose Cannon and stuff, and the guy who does the Blu-ray telesnaps, he's pretty resourceful. He could do in episode 4. He could make it work. So we get a recon for Marco Polo, and then 1 disc for Keys of Marinus, 1 disc for the Aztecs, 1 disc for the Sensorites, and then 1 disc for the Reign of Terror. Hopefully with the missing animation, or the 2 episodes, the animation being included, I'm sure they would, plus recons for those. That only totals up to 8 episodes. So you can do an 8 disc box set right there and spread the bonus stuff out. You could do 9 discs and have a bonus disc if you wanted. I don't think it needs it. I think you just salt and pepper everything kind of in there with it. So that's kind of how I would do the disc layout for the 60s set. Again, I would prefer a 3 and 4 split, but only if the missing stories for 3 are animated, because people are already unhappy if they had to buy just the season 3 box set in its current state. There's no way they pay the money twice over having them split for that, so they would have to be animated. But if season 4 is the only one that is split, I think it would look weird on the shelf. But at the same time, I don't know how you do season 4 and keep it, at 10 discs or less. I don't see how you do that. I figured it'd have to be at least 11 discs, because so many stories would probably have to have multiple discs without running into compression issues. So I'm curious to see what they're going to do with season 4, even though I know they said a while back they wouldn't split, but we'll see. Looking at sets coming up, I do think we will get season 20 next. I do think the end of the year we will either get 16 or 6. I think we'll get a 3rd set in 2023. I think it will be 16 or 6. And whichever one we don't get, I think will be the first release of 2024. So I think 16 and 6 will be the 2 releases after 20. I just don't know which order they'll be in. So we'll see. So that's kind of my thoughts on that. I'd like to know what you think, so comment down below and let me know other things to do. Don't forget to click the like button and the subscribe button. That helps me out, and I certainly appreciate it. I am trying to grow the channel to 1,000 subscribers. I would, of course, prefer some of the other stories to be animated. I would like Wheel in Space to be animated, as I've talked about. I would personally love Space Pirates to be animated. Highlanders to be animated. But I feel like they might be adopting a position of, okay, I think we can handle just one story being not complete in one form or another, like Crusade from season 2, Space Pirates from season 6, Wheel from season 5, although I think a Wheel animation would sell really well. Maybe Highlanders from season 4, and then they might try to do everything but one story for season 3 eventually. They might go with the, okay, everything completed one way or another except one story. They might go with that. I hope not, but they might. I also have a Patreon if you would like to support me that way. There's a link to that down in the description below. I want to give a shout out to some of my top tier patrons, Stephen Crane, Colin Coney, Finn Perkins, and Unknown289. I appreciate their support, as I do the support of all of my patrons. I also have a P.O. box if there's anything you would like to send me to look at and review. And I'm working on those Quatermass episodes, Michael. I promise I haven't forgotten about them. I need to finish getting through that. And a link to my Amazon wish list is down there as well. Most importantly, though, thank you for watching.